My name is Elise Gordon, and I am privileged to be board president of Seaglass Theater Company. Today, I'm happy to introduce Kaileigh Riess in our ongoing Spotlight series at Seaglass. Kaileigh is a gifted soprano who I know you're going to enjoy getting to know better. Okay, so tell me about where you grew up in Massachusetts and how you first experienced music. What brought you to this wonderful career of yours?
Yeah, so I grew up here in Foxborough, Massachusetts, where I'm talking to you from today. And I just moved back here from Los Angeles, so it's been nice to kind of be back home. But yeah, so I grew up here and I grew up listening to probably my first musical experience is like dancing around the house with my dad to Aretha Franklin and Janis Joplin. So that's like my earliest musical love, I think. But besides that, I just grew up with a ton of music around the house all the time.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Janis Joplin that's so unusual? Did you have one that you and he really jammed to?
I think Bobby McGee would win out.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
Yeah. Also, my go-to karaoke song happens to be.
Are either of your parents musical? Are any of them?
Yeah. My dad was a boy soprano in choir. He'll never let me forget it. And my mom played the flute and sang growing up. And my grandfather on my dad's side had a beautiful voice. And a lot of people on my mom's side were also very musical. My grandmother, my uncle is a working violinist in Israel. So yeah, we've got it kind of on all sides.
Wow. Yeah, when did you decide to pursue your instrument? When did you really decide this was for you?
Yeah, it was so I was lucky that I had the public music school or the public school music program in my town is really wonderfully high quality. And so I knew I kind of wanted to be a part of that, though I mostly played sports growing up, but I kind of always did music on the side. And it wasn't until my choir teacher was like, you should do voice lessons. And I was like, I thought I was doing okay. She was like, no, I think I'm picking up on something. Like, you should definitely take some voice lessons. And once I started pursuing that, I sort of started falling in love with it. Though not, I wasn't thinking career wise, back in high school. I think I sang a lot of jazz, some musical theater, but mostly just casually until when I was applying for colleges. I kind of tried everything. I applied to like conservatories. I applied to places that had barely any music program. I was kind of just clueless. And then when I got to college for voice is when I really caught the opera bug, I think, and just started getting on my feet and getting on stage and going to the Lyric Opera of Chicago, just falling in love with this art form. So.
Ich bin
You went to Northwestern.
Yes, yes, I did.
Chicago is one of my favorite cities. What was it inspiring to work in that city, and what's your most memorable performance when you were there?
When I was at Northwestern, yeah. Chicago, I mean, it's an amazing city. Northwestern's in Evanston, but we would get into the city a lot to go see the opera, the Lyric, which we got like $20 student tickets to. So we were just constantly going in. I think one of my most memorable performances there, besides, I mean, I got to do so many of the school operas. Like I would do any chorus, especially at the beginning. Any chorus I could be in, I would do it. And then toward the end, I started getting some like really fun lead roles I could sink my teeth into. One of my favorites was probably, it's called La Voix Humaine, which is like a one-woman opera by Francis Poulenc, and it is a woman on the phone with her lover who has broken her heart, and it's just this one-sided conversation. So it was this like amazing acting piece I could just kind of dig into, and my voice teacher at the time let me like set up the stage with a bunch of like props and a whole set. I had all my friends bring in all their extra like couches and blankets and wine bottles on the floor. It was like this whole production. And I just had an hour of time where I could just like live in this piece. And it was so cool. That's one of my most memorable ones.
Awesome. do just for fun? What do you do when you're just hanging around and waiting for the next gig?
Yeah. I practice a lot of yoga, especially lately during the pandemic. That's been a lifeline. I love reading. I was an English major in college too, so can't take the English major out of the girl. So I love reading, writing, going on walks. My family goes camping in Maine every summer. My whole extended family ships off to like tiny town in Maine. So that's been really fun. I would say baking, but I had a failed experiment of banana muffins this very morning and I forgot to put flour in them. So I don't think we're going to add that to the list yet, but I'm trying.
We all do that, Kaileigh.
Oh my gosh.
Keep going with it though. The more you practice, the better you get.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you do on the side? We had the question, what's your side hustle? What do you
Side hustle
do? Yeah.
Yeah. So I also teach voice. Right now that's remotely on Zoom. I teach at a public school in a local town, and I have my own private studio, and I love that. But I also substitute teach at a children's center at a preschool in Needham, working with mostly like 2 to 4-year-olds. So that's an adventure. And then I freelance as a writer and editor here to there too. So
where do you submit your articles?
Oh man, I mean that's wishful thinking at this point. I mostly just blog, but I also do some freelance editing for the Modern Singer magazine, and any friends' college essays along the way.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the rapid fire.
Okay.
What is the weirdest gig you ever did?
Weirdest gig I ever did. All I remember, it was a motocross championship. I still kind of don't know what motocross is. It's like some sort of like dirt bike thing. I'm sure it's great, but like I knew nothing about it. All I remember is like climbing up a huge mountain of dirt in like terrible shoes for the occasion and singing a national anthem and going home and not knowing what had just happened. I think that's tied with my a cappella group in college, went to Puerto Rico and basically like sang for our rent at this like tiny hotel. So yeah, this career takes you places.
Love it.
The holidays were never for Tiffany. Her candle store only sold holiday scents.
I'm allergic to cinnamon and non-denominational holiday cheer.
Her landlord was a real Grinch.
Tiffany, it's your landlord. I'm doubling your rent even though I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Oh, rats!
But at least she had a man to share the holidays with.
Sup, Tiffany? It's me, your boyfriend, off-brand Chris Evans. I'm actually leaving you for someone hotter, so bye.
No, Chet, wait! Holidays, none in particular.
And just when she thought it couldn't get any worse,
A letter from my mom saying that our family ranch, the only place I've ever really felt at home, is shutting down at the hands of a one-dimensional, nondescript corporate antagonist. And during the holidays...
so she decided it was time to go home.
It's time to go home.
There, Tiffany will find self-respect.
No, you listen. I hate candles, and I quit.
But Tiffany, you own the candle store.
Whoa.
It's a secular miracle. I'm Hallmark hot. And it turns out that's all I ever needed to be happy. Not candles, not an apartment, not Chet.
I'm here for some reason, and also sad that you rejected me. What's that about, right?
Just you, me, the ranch, and Chris.
No.
The holidays. All of them.
Coming this holiday season. Literally every Hallmark movie in December.
It's terrible.
When I read your bio, one thing that was really interesting was you're very interested in new music. So why don't you talk to me a little bit about what that is and
Yeah.
how you see it?
Well, I mean, I think the tradition of opera is so vast and so beautiful and so vital. We all know. But I think new music, what's happening in that world right now is equally as important and sometimes doesn't get focused on as much. I recently had the experience of a few experiences of working with living composers. So singing music that is written by someone who's right there that you can often get in touch with and kind of join that creative process with them. And I just find that so inspiring and so exciting. Also with new music, you can really sort of expand your artistic what's at your disposal. So you're using different colors of your voice, different kinds of techniques that maybe in singing bel canto music or Mozart, you're not allowed to use really. And so for me, that gives me just so much expressive freedom. And it's something that I just absolutely love. So I'm always seeking out working with living composers. I think it's definitely where the world needs to go.
Tell me a little bit more about the collaboration you're doing on the short story, or the story that your grandmother wrote.
Yeah.
That hit my heart. So I'd love you to tell the full story with that one.
Sure, yeah. So my summer festival this past summer was of course canceled due to COVID, but they moved it sort of online, and we had this a few weeks of like a forum on what it means to be an artist today, and actually with a lot of emphasis on how can we create new music today for today's issues, for today's world. And they offered us a stipend to sort of put toward something, a creative endeavor that maybe you wouldn't normally have the chance to do. And I had worked with a composer named Timothy Peterson in LA. He had written a song cycle for me a few years back, and we had always said we would work together like the next chance we got, and this was that chance. So I texted him and I was like, let's do it again. And luckily he was very on board. And then sort of became the process of like, what do we do? I mean, you never get that opportunity where it's just like a blank slate. So we just had a few weeks of sort of knowing we wanted to work together, knowing it worked so well before, and then being just sort of like overwhelmed with possibility, right? And then I was sitting on the porch with my mom, and she was talking about her mother, Tamar, who I've always felt super connected with. She died a few days before I was born, but I've always heard stories of like how we are so similar in our sensibilities and even looks and like tastes. And she was so passionate about the arts and an amazing writer. And my mom was telling me a story or a little bit about like a short story she had written. And immediately I got so excited hearing about it. And I texted the composer and I was like, I think I found our thing. And my mom did like a live translation. The story's in Hebrew because my mom is Israeli. And my mom did a live translation of the Hebrew to me, and it just was, it was operatic. I just fell in love. So we are creating a monodrama based on a translated text of that story. We contacted a poet that we know from LA who helped us sort of shape it into what it's becoming. And we're thinking of bringing on board maybe animators. I mean, we're trying to just like think really big with this. And so especially, I mean, now I'm lucky that a few upcoming performances are like on the horizon again, which is so exciting. But especially in those few months where it seemed like there was nothing coming next, like this was such a lifeline to just have that creative process going even in the middle of a pandemic, right? So it's been an absolute joy already, and like he's got a little bit of it written so far, and we're just kind of in that back and forth process of creating something. So I feel super lucky to be a part of this. Yeah,
that's marvelous. I mean, what a wonderful thing to create out of your family and your grandmother's experience and your mother's translation. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I really loved the kind of like maternal line that sort of went through the creation of this. I feel really, really connected more to Tamar than I have before. Yeah. And we are incorporating a little bit of her original Hebrew in it too. So hopefully the Israeli audiences will also kind of enjoy that, trying to stay true to her vision there.
Can't wait to experience that. That's wonderful.
On a wagon bound for market, there's a calf with a mournful eye. High above him there's a swallow winging swiftly through the sky. How the winds are laughing, they laugh with all their might. Laugh and laugh the whole day through, and half the summer's night. Dona, 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 dona.
I think the next thing, are we doing gallantry? Have we been talking about gallantry?
Yeah, I think that is on the horizon. So it should be fun.
We had a little discussion about that. I know that it's not always fun for you. That's an interesting part, isn't it?
It's a great, yeah, my poor character, it's not always fun for her, but it is fun for the actress. It's like, how often do you get to be in a soap opera?
That's right.
Yeah. And I've sung the piece before. I sang it in Colorado, and I just have such fond memories from the piece. And I think we're doing it for radio, right? So that'll be a whole
I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, that's a whole new kind of realm I haven't explored yet. So that's exciting.
Wonderful.
Tried hard to help me, he put me at ease. Then he loved me so naughty, made me weak in the knees. I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I'm so hard to handle, I'm selfish and I'm sad. Now I'm gonna lost the best baby that I ever had. I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long I would teach my feet to fly. I wish I had a river I could skate away on.
next thing on the horizon is actually Mansfield Park. We're doing the opera Mansfield Park at Boston University, which is a really rare opportunity to actually be performing opera in this time. So I'm super excited about that. The dream is to just show up every day and do this thing that I love. And hopefully it takes me to keep exploring new places, meeting new people. I'm just kind of following the path where it leads. All I know is I like burn for this art form. I have to be on stage. I have to be connecting with people. And I'm just going to try to keep showing up every day, trying to separate myself from, whatever success means in that way, and just kind of stick with it and keep enjoying the journey.